Welcome to another episode of Questions with L.A. Marzulli. I am your intrepid host, L.A., and we'll be getting into your questions after a word from our trusted sponsor. Hey folks, L.A. Marzulli here for Noble Gold. The second largest and third largest bank runs in history happened last month. Not making this stuff up. The government is taking steps to guarantee all of your deposits, but that means more money printing. Thousands have approached Noble Gold Investments to secure their wealth with gold. Gold is the most stable asset outside of government control. Folks, we did it several months ago, and man, am I glad we did. Hurry and go to noblegoldinvestments.com and secure your wealth. Bag a free 5-ounce America the Beautiful coin if you qualify. noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Hey folks, thanks for writing in. We try to get through as many of these as we can in our Thursday show every week. If you've got a question, keep it short and pithy. Questions at lamarzulli.net. Questions at lamarzulli.net. Let's get right into it. Hey, LA, appreciate your work. I like your take on what Bigfoot may possibly be. I believe they are human and some sort of a hybrid. David Pallades of Missing 401 has done DNA tests on the hair samples. The conclusion was half female DNA and half unknown to this world. Well, I certainly agree with that. So I suspect alien manipulation of some kind. Have you heard of Sierra Bigfoot sounds by campers in the 70s? That's our good friend of the show, Ron Moorhead, who came to Peru with us. I've interviewed Ron numerous times. He's in our Watchers series. I consider him a good friend, and I'm very familiar with Sierra sounds. Genesis 3:15, the seed of the dragon will be at enmity at war with the seed of the woman. If we come to an understanding of that, everything fits, it just dovetails together. All of our questions are answered in the Genesis 3:15 narrative. There is a seed war. There's a manipulation of genetic material. That is what we are looking at. That explains everything. The Genesis 3:15 narrative explains exactly what's going on with the UFO phenomenon, the breeding program, the cattle mutilations, Bigfoot, all sorts of supernatural stuff. It's all there. And yet it's not taught. I hope that answers your question. From Joseph, as a Christian and a scientist myself, I would like your unbiased thoughts on this book that I have read entitled the Tia-Uba Prophecy, The Golden Planet, Abductions of a Ninth Planet, a true report by the author who was physically abducted to another planet. The book is profound to me because it provides scientific answers to the supernatural events in the Bible. Anytime I read stuff like that, I have not read the book, so it's hard for me to even weigh in on it. I would be very skeptical of that, because we don't know the mechanics of that. But again, I'm weighing in on something which I've never read, so it's difficult for me to read into that in any way, shape, or form. I will say this, I hold tenaciously to the biblical prophetic narrative. This is the truth. Jesus warns us that in the latter days, I talked about this earlier in the week, men would faint from fear for what is coming upon the earth. The book of Daniel, chapter 2, we covered this in our abduction film, states that their seed will mingle with the seed of men, but they will not cleave to them. Who are they? Who are they? It's not human beings, it's something else. Satan will come with all signs and lying wonders. The seed of a serpent, the son of perdition. It's all right there. Genesis 3:15 is the key. It's the foundation. It's the cornerstone of the rest of the Bible. Because in that passage, it talks about the one coming from the seed of the woman, the Messiah, who will crush the dragon's head. It's all right there. And we know who that was. His name is Jesus. LA, did you know Margot Kidder of Superman fame was an abductee? No, I did not know that. No one believed her. I think she was put in the mental hospital. Do you have any info? Also, comment on the movie Fire in the Sky. I saw that before I found your channel. It was terrifying. This is from Sherry. I'm familiar on some level with Margot Kidder. There was some mental issues there. I wasn't aware that she was an abductee, so it's hard for me to weigh in on that. If she was, it explains a lot. People who have been abducted, and this is why our film, number 4 in the series on the abduction phenomena, is so important, because what it shows is that people who have been taken go through a lot of mental anguish. Once again, I'll I'll talk about Emil. I talked about him earlier in the week. So Emil's being taken, and his parents and grandparents are finding him outside the room. And so they put locks on the doors and windows to keep Emil, who's an 8 or 9-year-old boy, in the room. Next morning, Emil is outside the window, or outside the room, and all the locks are in place. And Emil looks right at the camera and goes, "Explain that to me." So you can't explain it. They take you through the window, they take you through the ceiling, they take you through the walls. That's how it works. And that's chilling. Karen, again, she's sort of the tentpole, the centerpiece of our abduction film. She's taken numerous times. She's impregnated 3 times by these guys. The baby is taken in the 3rd month of the trimester. It's absolutely unnerving. But it goes back to what? The Genesis 3:15 narrative. Now, Sherry talks about fire in the sky. I actually spent some time one-on-one with Travis Walton. I prayed with him, talked with him, had some interesting information from him, which I will not divulge. It's just private conversation between Travis and myself. The bottom line is he was taken. And there's a mixed bag here. When the craft took off, there was a plasma discharge. So did they abduct him because of the plasma discharge? Was he then healed? We don't know. That's another side of the story, isn't it? But he was on board the ship. He was then taken back. Travis said some things to me, which I obviously can't repeat. I said that already. But let me put it to you this way. I believe that these entities are not benevolent space brothers. End of story. This is from Mary from Ontario. Thanks for writing in, Mary. Could you comment on the obelisk that appeared a few months ago in random places over the world and then disappeared? Have you any idea what their purpose was? Such a strange occurrence. Thanks to you and everyone who worked with you for such a great show, although I still miss your take on the political goings-on, and we're not going to touch that, not in this political climate. Politics, Prophecy, and a Supernatural show. Those obelisks were very weird. They were popping up. People found them, they photographed them, and then they kind of went away. Very clever hoax. It got the attention that the hoaxers were hoping to achieve, and that's all I'll say about that. That's what I think it was. From Angel, I recall that there was a story of a soldier who had been dropped off by a bus late at night. He called someone to collect him from a certain place. The soldier called the same person as he did before, but the other person stated in a confused tone that he had gone to collect him, but there was nobody at the designated collection point. What do you think about that? Well, it's Angel. It's things like this happen. Missing time happens, and we know that. But there's not enough in the story for me to really weigh in. In other words, was there a flash of light? That the person who called in, was there missing time? Can he not account for 2 or 3 hours? So without that information, it's very, very difficult. From David, I just wanted to share this picture with you to see what you think this is. It was taken at 2 Medicine Lake on the edge of Glacier National Park in Montana. I didn't see the little object by the right of the peak until way after I took this picture. Nice picture of a lake, or so I thought. I wish it was higher resolution, but this is the best I have. There shouldn't be any planes flying around up there, and we did not hear whatever this was at all. Since I have been following all of your work for many years and hold your research and opinions in high regard, I thought maybe you would want to take a look at this one. We did see 3 silver discs when I was young, not far from our little farm, back in the 70s, that hung in the sky for about 45 minutes. How many times have I heard this? They changed position very rapidly once in a while, and then just vanished all at once. Just shot out of there. Pretty wild. So, I did hear of several sightings over the years, one from my math teachers when I was in 8th grade. He was pretty shaken up that morning. Stated that a disc-shaped craft that followed him all the way through the canyon by Columbia Falls, Montana, on his way to work. I know these things are out there, wild stuff. Hard to tell from the picture that you sent. It appears to be an object of some sort. If you didn't hear any noise and there's no rotor wash, then you got something going there. Look, the bottom line is this, that these entities, they move with impunity in our skies. That people who are followed, like this teacher, he's unnerved. He's freaked, and who wouldn't be? This is why we put on the armor of God on a daily basis. This is why we take authority as a believer over things that we see. This is why we say, no, you can't come in here. Put on the armor of God, and we dedicate our property, our land, our automobile, where we are, to Jesus. I'll tell you one story, and I've told this before. So Peggy and I are living in Oklahoma after the fire, and it's our first winter there. We're driving back from having a wonderful dinner with Bob Ulrich and Chrissy, and we're driving back on the Kilpatrick Highway. And Peggy goes, wow, what's that? And I look over, I'm driving, I look over, and I see this light that's kind of dancing on top of the trees. I kind of go, oh, that's probably one of those spotlights at a car dealership. The problem is, there's no car dealership there, and we're down, and the car dealerships are up here, miles and miles away. It's just not going to work. It's just not going to work. Well, I look over again, and Peggy goes, this thing, whatever it is, it's following us. I looked over, and this thing is skipping, pacing us on the right-hand side, and it's lighting up the trees, and it's acting erratic, very erratic. Peggy tries to photograph it, and she can't. At this point, we take authority over it. We rebuke it in the name of Jesus. Just like that, it's gone. Just like that. If something's a couple of miles away, it's not in your jurisdiction. You'll have trouble rebuking it. You can rebuke it. You can say you can't come closer. But when something's up and close like that, within 100 yards, certainly it was more like, 70, 80 yards from the car. We didn't see a disc. We just saw a light bobbing on top of the trees and acting very, very erratic. So we were able to rebuke first, ask questions later, and call upon the name above all other names, Jesus. Interested on your take of this interview, Dr. Stephen Greer on the Sean Ryan Show. I have zero doubt that ETs are demonic. I also find it interesting that Dr. Greer has an app to assist in contacting ETs that has a primary component suggesting requiring a gathering of people for meditation. Greer, with all due respect, and he's welcome to come on the show at any time and have a chat, as it were, I would call him a New Ager. He's been involved in Eastern mysticism for decades. I was involved in Eastern mysticism. I know what it is, but I'm on the other side of the aisle. I'm now born again and Spirit-filled, and when that happens, everything changes. The Spirit of a living God will lead us in truth, in all truth, as the Bible says. The Spirit of a living God. When we open ourselves, when we ask Him in, that's what being born again is. We are born from above. The Spirit of a living God comes into us. Our spirit beings are then united for the first time, are quickened, are made alive. Up till that point, we're dead. Spirit, soul, and body. The body is this three-dimensional bodysuit. Our soul is our emotions, our gifting, what our personalities are, and our spirit can only be awakened, can only be brought into, basically resurrected, brought into life, whatever you want to say, by the Spirit of a living God. That happens when we ask Jesus into our heart and we're Spirit-filled and born again. Yeah, so Greer is a New Ager. The whole idea of meditation, it's dangerous. Having an app which allows you to communicate with these entities, it's nothing new. They're going on for thousands of years. What do you think the shamans get a hold of? And those who in India who astral project, read Vicky Joy's book on sleep paralysis. Where do you think you go? Where do the shamans go? They go into the second heaven. This is why we're told in the biblical prophetic narrative not to engage these entities. Hope that helps. Is the American Stonehenge connected to the Georgia Guidestones in Elbert County, Georgia? It looks like it does. I'd have to see that. If there's a standing stone that's there, that would be interesting. It's something I can ask Dennis Stone. As far as I know, it is not. I don't know if you've seen this, and I hope this link works. It's about a boy talking to AI who said he is the son of a Nephilim. Yes, I saw that. Very interesting. Now, it's very easy to hoax something like that, right? So if any of you out there, you can go to AI and say, who are you? And see if you get the same answer. I did see that, and I found it very disturbing. This is from Betsy. Have you been notified about the possible new discoveries of star forts in Missouri? Yes, I have. There are also several other people who've written about that. What do you think of the discoveries by Dutch sensitive of star forts? I think it's very interesting. More work needs to be done. I don't think it's a coinkydink They were here. They did stuff like this. I don't think it's Native American. I call it fallen angel technology, Nephilim architecture. This is LA. I'm always intrigued by your shows and find myself digging deeper in the subjects that you raise to gain understanding. I have learned much due to your presentations. I'm a supernatural, and for that, I thank you. I have also shared some of my findings with you in the past. I have copied and pasted the text and photos from an email. So this guy is Sean Ellis. He's been on a bunch of different shows, and he's got a relationship with a wolf or with wolves, and I would stay clear of anything like that, and I'll just leave it at that. Thanks so much for sending in your questions. Always appreciate it. If you've got a question, don't forget, send it into questions at lamarzulli.net. Make it pithy and short, and we are working up to yours. It's just, I'll do 10 or 15 things like this, but we get 25 or 30, so I never really catch up. Our crop circle video is now streaming.lamarzulli.net, streaming.lamarzulli.net. We are going to Israel. We are up to 35 people. It's in October. Go to my website, LA Marzulli. It's the only tour like it, a Nephilim tour. We go to these sites. I will be lecturing at all of them. Anyway, folks, thanks so much. We will be in Jupiter, Florida, speaking at the Church of the Calvary Church. It's on the website, followed by a church in Missouri. Hope to see you at either of these places, followed in July by Go Therefore up in Ohio. So 3 conferences coming up, and then, of course, we've got the big one, and that, of course, is Israel, the Israel tour. Thanks so much for watching Questions with LA. I am your intrepid host, L.A. Marzulli, and we will see you back here tomorrow with another episode of Supernatural Confrontations.